Live lesson, we're going to practice some reading comprehension. This week's story is going to be about the town mouse and the country mouse, a kind of classic style story about one creature that lives somewhere outside a city and one that lives inside a city and the different lifestyles they have. So as you join, please make sure to hit the like button and of course share this video so other people can find today's lesson. I see there's a few people joining in the YouTube chat. Welcome Kai and John and Nena, hello, and Patrick, Isabel, Mino, welcome everybody. Facebook, we'll see Facebook in just a moment. But while we wait for everyone to join live, I want to mention this banner at the bottom of the screen and this slide about our free PDF cheat sheets. The team has a bunch, so many free PDF sheets that you can download to practice your vocabulary, to practice sample conversations, to practice dialogues. You can find so many different types, and the team has added some new PDF sheets. So check the link below the video if you're watching on YouTube or above the video if you're watching on Facebook. You can download all of them for free. You don't have to choose only one or two. You can go to this page, it looks like this, and you can download everything. You don't have to choose. You can put them on your phone, you can put them on your computer, print them out, put them on your desk, wherever is convenient for you, so you can get regular practice and regular study and learn these vocabulary words. So I'll remind you again later. Okay, hello everybody who is joining. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get into it. If you have not, please make sure to hit the like button and share because it really does help people find it. Hello on YouTube, Berami and Super Puma and Orhangaza. I hope I said your name right. Rocky Ramsing, hello. Rachid Mira, hello everybody. Welcome. Okay, let's go because today's story is long and I have a lot to explain. So let's begin the story. The town mouse and the country mouse. So, begin. Once, there were two mice who were cousins, a town mouse and a country mouse. The country mouse lived in a peaceful field and ate simple food every day. One day, the town mouse came to visit him. The country mouse warmly welcomed his cousin and shared a meal of grains and roots. Grains and roots down here, okay? The town mouse tasted the food and glanced around the small, quiet home. This food is very plain, he said. You should come to the town and enjoy a better life. The country mouse was curious, so he went to town with his cousin. That night, they entered a large house where a magnificent feast had been left on the table. There was cheese, bread, fruit, and many other rich foods. The country mouse was astonished and began to eat with delight. Suddenly, they heard loud footsteps and human voices. The two mice ran quickly and hid in a narrow crack in the wall. After the danger had passed, they returned to the table. But before long, they heard barking dogs and hurried footsteps again. The country mouse trembled with fear. I would rather eat my simple food in peace, he said, than enjoy a feast in fear every day. All right, so here's our story. We're going to finish there. We are going to next talk about the different key vocabulary words we saw in this story. There were probably a lot, and we have a lot to cover. So I'm going to get right into it really quickly. I'll remind you about these PDFs again in just a moment, but if you want to get them now, click the link down here or up here. YouTube down, Facebook up. Okay, let's begin with some vocabulary words, and at the end we'll review some basic grammar patterns we saw. So first, one of the key words we saw in this story was peaceful. This was at the beginning of the story, talking about the country mouse's lifestyle, and at the end of the story, we saw the word peace again. So, peace, and at the end, we have this full. So something full with full at the end of the word, you can think of it as being full of that thing or having lots of that thing. So something peaceful, if that helps you. It's not spelled with two L's. This is something that has lots of calm qualities. Yeah? Something or someone that has lots of calm qualities. So there's not danger. There is lots of peace. So every day is calm. Every day is quiet. Every day is easy, right? Something that is peaceful is like this in the image here, right? There's no rush, there's no danger. So peaceful was a key word in the story. Let's go back to the beginning there. So we saw it right here. The country mouse lived in a peaceful field. So a peaceful field means an area, a natural area with lots of grass. Someplace that a mouse probably loves is a peaceful field. Not lots of danger, very calm, okay? So we saw this again. We saw the root at the end of the story here. I would rather eat my simple food in peace, in peace. To do something in peace means to do something calmly and without lots of noise, without lots of danger happening. So peace, another use that we see a lot for peace is the opposite of war. Yeah? So peace is like a very calm and quiet lifestyle. Okay, so this is one key word for the story. Let's go to the next one then, warmly. Warmly, this is an adverb here. Warmly, maybe you can see, this has ly at the end after warm. So warm, here, you probably know warm, like temperature, right? Feeling warm or a warm day, right? When we say warmly, this means your behavior, your actions, your attitude. So warmly means to do something, or rather something done, to do something in a welcoming way. So in the story, the country mouse and the town mouse, when they met at the country mouse's house, the country mouse greeted the town mouse very warmly, was very welcoming, yeah? So, in a welcoming way, yeah? So to do something warmly means to be very, welcoming and try to take care of someone else. So when you visit someone's home, they will usually, I hope, well, depending on your culture, maybe give you food, ask how you're doing, bring you something to drink. All of these kinds of things are very warm actions to try to make a nice connection, okay? All right, let me check the chat. Hello, everybody who is joining. Hello, one of our members, Rosalind. What's up? Hi, Rosalind. Wrote, I would like rather to read a book in peace. Just remove like. I would rather read. So you don't need the to there either. I would rather read a book in peace is the correct sentence. Okay, let's continue to the next word then, warmly. So, let me look at the example sentence. I forgot about that almost. The very beginning we saw warmly, here it is, in the country mouse's behavior. The country mouse warmly welcomed his cousin. Yeah? So I want to point out, we can use the opposite, to coldly do something. To coldly means you are not very nice to the other person. So we can use the opposite temperature, right? So warm means that something is inviting. Cold means that something is kind of stiff and standoffish. Okay. All right, let's continue to the next one because we have a lot today. The next one is glanced. Glanced. Here, this is a past tense verb. So the base form is glance. Glance. So to glance means to look quickly, or to look briefly at something, okay? So to look quickly or to look briefly for a short period of time. Like for example, standing here, I might glance to the corner, which means just your eyes move just for one moment in a different direction. You glance at something, you glance at the road, or you glance at your friend, yeah? So when we glance at something, we don't use our attention a lot. We just notice something quickly. So to glance at something is used when we just want to say you noticed something out of the side or out of the corner of your eye. Like, that's a glance, a very quick look, okay? Patrick asked, is this way that we write coldly? The spelling, is your question about spelling? Because yes, coldly is perfect, okay? So let's look at how glanced was used in the story. Where was glanced? I think it was around the country mouse's house. Yes, okay. So we saw glanced in this sentence. The town mouse tasted the food and glanced around the small, quiet home. So you might think, what does that mean? Glanced around. Why do we say glanced around? That sounds like the town mouse quickly just looked around like this. They looked around quickly. So to look around and to glance around are very, very close in meaning. But to glance is just like very, very quick. If you say you looked around, it might sound like a TV show where there's the police are checking a crime scene. They're looking for information. When you look around, you are looking carefully for something. When you glance around, like from your chair in a restaurant or your chair in a house, you just look like this quickly. Oh, noticing things, yeah? So this glance is less focus than look. That's the difference between glance and look. Okay, let's continue to our next keyword. The next one is plain. Plain. Plain is an adjective. So an adjective which means, in this case, for food, it was used in the story to talk about food, like unseasoned or unspiced, or no flavor added, something that is natural. But when we say that something is plain, like plain bread, for example, depending on the feeling, depending on the voice, this can sometimes have a little bit of a negative feel. Like, oh, the food is really plain. It sounds like the food is not exciting. So plain, we can use it as a neutral word to mean a color is plain, or just to describe standard bread. Maybe you see bread at the store. It says, plain bread, which means there's no seasoning added. So it's not a negative word, but it can be used to mean that something is missing. So in the story, we saw plain used to talk about the country mouse's food, okay? And in this sense, this food is very plain, is how we saw this word used in the story. So this could mean that, like, your food is a little boring. This is how we could understand this. Or your food is kind of so-so, or it's not so special. So this has a little bit of a negative feel about it. Personally, I would never say this to somebody. I feel this kind of sentence is rude to say to someone. They invite you to their home and you say your food is plain. I would never say this to someone. It's very direct and I think very rude. But for the story, this is the difference we're trying to show here. The town mouse has high expectations and the country mouse is happy with very simple things, okay? So plain can be used to talk just neutrally about something. Not good, not bad, but we can also use it to have this kind of negative feel as well. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat, so let me continue to our next word, which is curious. Curious. Maybe you've seen curious before. Curious is an adjective. So when someone or something is curious, It means they are wanting to know more about something. So usually, curious is a positive quality. So you want to learn, you want to know things. So maybe you look around or you glance around a room, you ask somebody things, like you ask an expert questions in an interview because you are curious. So someone who is curious is somebody who wants to learn more. Animals also can be curious. When you put food out that the animal has never seen before, they might come and smell it or look at it or touch it. They are curious about the food. So let's take a look at how we saw curious used in the story. Where was curious? Here we go. The country mouse was curious, so he went to town with his cousin. In this sentence, we see the country mouse wanted to know more about the city or the town life. So he went to the town with his cousin. So curious, being curious is usually kind of a positive thing, a slightly more positive thing. Okay? Carlos on the YouTube chat wrote, I'm curious about the gossip. Okay, good one. Yeah, you can say, I'm curious about what happened. Yeah, or let me know what happened. Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh my gosh, I went too far. The next one is magnificent. Magnificent. All right, magnificent, we have another adjective here. Magnificent is a very big word which means really great, or wonderful, awesome, all of those happy, excellent words. Wonderful, awesome. Also, all of those things plus kind of grand. So something that is very grand, it sounds like something that is super, super special, like a king or a queen's event or a ballroom event, a very like high level party, like a gala, something that has extra special, maybe expensive qualities, and it's really great. So something that is magnificent is something really, really high level and has this feeling of elite about it. It has a very grand quality. Think of kings and queens, okay? Rocky, well, I'm curious, what's the difference between curious and serious? Curious, you want to know more about something. Serious depends on how you use it. A person who is serious does not laugh. They are very stone-faced. If a situation is serious, it means that it is a very intense situation. So curious and serious are very different for personalities. Okay, so magnificent. Let's go back to magnificent. So magnificent in the story we saw used to talk about the townhouse, right? That night they entered a large house where a magnificent feast had been left on the table. Strange situation, okay? So magnificent feast. Feast is a meal. A feast is a meal, okay? But a feast is a very big meal. So usually when we have a meal, we have maybe one plate or a few plates we share with the other people, right? A feast, the image of a feast is like in the picture here. A feast has a lot of food, right? So this is a good picture to describe a magnificent feast. Very grand, lots and lots and lots of food. It looks very expensive, okay? So, good. Let's continue to the next one. Astonished, astonished. Okay, let me see how this was used in the sentence before I explain this one, because we can talk about it in a couple ways. So, astonished. The country mouse was astonished and began to eat with delight. Okay, the country mouse was astonished, So another way that we can say astonished is very surprised, okay? So the country mouse was very surprised. Okay, astonished means very surprised, okay? But astonished also has the feeling of, this might be a new word, that's okay, awe, A-W-E, awe. So you have the feeling of surprise, but also you feel like, wow, that feeling of seeing something really magnificent or really amazing. Like maybe when you see a sunset that's so beautiful, you stop and you go, wow. That feeling is called awe. When you see a performer that's so talented, top level, like an opera singer, they're so talented, and you listen to their performance and you, wow, that feeling is called awe. That's a noun. So when we are astonished, we are very surprised and we appreciate that something is really like special. So usually I will say this is positive. Usually when we are astonished, it is positive. However, we can also be astonished in a negative way. If we receive bad news, like that suddenly we lose our job and you're like, what? How did that happen? You can't believe it and it's a really like high level surprise. You might say, I'm astonished. I don't know how this happened. So usually astonished has like an exciting feeling. Something extreme happened or something very special happened. So in this sense, in the story sense, it's in a positive way. The mouse was astonished, yeah? He was surprised and like, oh, so special. This is so special. But we can also use it in a negative sense for negative situations that describe us. Okay, let me check the comments. Victor wrote, the emperor acted with magnificence by forgiving the gladiator. Interesting, okay. Acted with yeah, I guess you could say that. Grammatically correct. Carlos wrote, like a girl when on her 15th birthday. I like a quinceañera. So like a girl on her 15th birthday. She looks magnificent. Yeah, so we could describe the event of a quinceañera by saying that she looks magnificent, like regal, royal, like a queen or a princess. Okay. Lehua asked, can we say shocked? Grammatically, yes, the grammar is the same. You could say the country mouse was shocked by the feast. That's okay. However, shock is more like an intense emotion. Imagine someone like punched you and you're like, oh, like it's a really intense feeling, like, oh, surprise. And shock has a more negative feeling, I feel. For me personally. Control desk, you agree? Yeah. Shock is more like, oh, something bad happened. But astonished sounds more positive for this situation, okay? Astonished, it's not formal or informal. You can use it in both ways. Astonished is just a good vocabulary word to level up the nuance of what you want to say, okay? All right. Yeah, good one. Control desk wrote, I'm shocked that you passed the test. Is not a good sentence for you. That means I am very surprised you passed the test. I did not expect it, okay? So shock is like a surprise that, yeah, is very unexpected and often negative. Okay, let's continue. Thank you for your great questions. Let's continue to delight. Delight. I think we saw, yeah, I can't remember how we used it in the sentence. This is the noun form. I think, did we use it as delighted in the story? Let me double check. Delight, or was it delight or delighted? Let me see. Let's check together. Okay, with delight. Okay. The country mouse was astonished and began to eat with delight. With delight. Okay, so delight, we can use this. This is used as a noun here, but we can also use this as a verb. So delight means great amounts of happiness, something that makes us feel enthusiastic and excited, okay? So let me add this note to the slide. So something, delight as a noun. So delight, and we can use this as a verb, began to eat. This can be used as a verb as well. So delight is with excitement and happiness, excitement, happiness, and enthusiasm, okay? So delight is a very positive word, all right? So to do something with delight means to do something with lots of excitement and enthusiasm, like eating delicious food with delight. We love it. Everybody loves to eat their favorite food. So you could say, I eat my favorite food every week with delight. So to delight as a verb means to cause someone to feel this way. Yeah? So the news delighted our coworkers means everybody felt excited and enthusiastic about something. So this can be used as a noun and a verb. Okay, continuing. Oh my gosh, time goes so quickly. Narrow. I think many people probably know the word narrow, so we'll take a short time only. Narrow means there's a short space between two things. This is an adjective. So narrow is different from small. So there is a short space between two or more, I suppose, between walls, usually. Between walls or like a hallway, something that has two sides to it, usually. Maybe more, I suppose. But this is different. Small means size, yeah? It can mean a small room, yes. But narrow specifically is the opposite of wide. Something that is wide has lots of space on two sides. Something that is narrow has limited space. So in the story, they went through a narrow crack. I wanted to talk about that word actually really quickly. Narrow crack in the wall, I think they said. Yes, the two mice ran quickly and hid in a narrow crack in the wall. A crack is this kind of shape. I think there was a picture of it in here of the crackety crack. Where did it go? I saw it before. Maybe it was in the story. Sorry. Where is it? There it is. Okay, this part right here, where they are hiding, this is the crack. Okay, so it's a part where the wall has broken. That is a crack. Maybe you have a crack in your house somewhere, like a crack in a table or a crack in a chair, a crack in a wall. So a crack means a broken piece of something. So actually, that's not a good way to describe it. The piece itself is not the crack. It's a broken area of something. So this part is the crack right here, okay? So they hid in a narrow crack, right? There's not much space on the two sides. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one, what are we at? How many do we have left? Time is going quickly. Trembled. Okay, trembled. This is past tense verb. I believe that's how it's used here. Past tense verb here, trembled. The root, the infinitive form is tremble. To tremble means to shake slightly with fear. To shake slightly with fear. This is a good image of it. To shake slightly with fear. So when you are afraid of something, when you watch a scary movie and you go, and you shake a little bit, this shaking is called, as a noun, trembling. Or I could say, I trembled when I watched the scary movie, or I trembled when I saw the fight happening in front of me. Something that makes you feel a little shaky because you are afraid, okay? So in the story, the mouse trembled with fear, okay? I lost it. There it is. The country mouse trembled with fear. That means the country mouse was shaking because he was so afraid. So trembled with fear. Usually it's related to fear or being afraid of something. All right, let's continue. I think we're almost through the vocabulary today. All right, good. We're into the patterns. Hooray! We have just a few points to review and then a short quiz. Hello from Cambodia. Sorry, I can't read your name on Facebook, but welcome. Okay, let's do some basic pattern things to finish up today's lesson. A quick reminder, there was and there were plus nouns, especially in a list. So remember, your verb here must match the quantity of the noun, okay? So for example, there was cheese, bread, fruit, and many other rich foods, okay? So notice, these don't have S's at the end, okay? Right? So if these are all uncountable nouns, but if you had countable nouns, like there were cookies and sweets and cupcakes or something like that, you would need to use were. So a quick reminder here to make sure that your verb matches the nouns you want to use in your list. Okay. All right, the next pattern is begin to plus verb. So this is a quick review of how to connect verbs like begin and start with other verbs. As in, the country mouse began to eat, right? So this shows that the country mouse started to do an action. The country mouse started to eat. So you can say like, I began to watch the movie, or I began to study for the test. So we can use this. We can also use the ing form. The country mouse began eating is also okay to use. We can also use the ing ending form there. The country mouse began eating, or she began studying for the test. This is also okay to use. Okay, on to the next pattern. After plus past perfect plus past simple. Okay, what does this mean? So after the danger had passed. So this is showing a sequence, a time sequence, a little bit of an upgrade from our first grammar points. So after the danger had passed, we have had passed, right? They returned to the table. So here we have two grammar points together. I'm not going to cover this grammar in depth in this lesson because it's a lot. But in a nutshell, the quick short version, so this is using a past perfect and a past simple past sentence together, or clause together. This is used to show which past action happened before another past action. Native speakers make this mistake all the time. They just use simple past and it gets very confusing. I don't have time to talk about this one at all today, so please check one of my many videos about this. Just search on the YouTube channel, the English Class 101 YouTube channel, for past perfect videos, especially past perfect and past simple tense together for more information about that. Okay. Rosalind wrote, the child began to speak with delight. Very nice. Yes, good example. And Cesar on Facebook wrote, my sister began to watch country movies. Oh, really? Is it true? What is a country movie? I'm just curious. Okay. All right. Let's go because I'm out of time. Oh, there's one more. Would rather plus base verb than base verb. So let's break this down. I would rather, right? So we're talking about personal preference. I would rather eat my simple food in peace than enjoy a feast in fear every day. So we're talking about two different actions, two different activities, and we introduce this comparison with I would rather. I would rather eat in this way than enjoy a feast in fear every day. We could use eat in the second sentence too. Again, I don't have time to cover this grammar point in depth, but you can find some comparison lessons on the English Class 101 YouTube channel and website. Woo! Okay, Lewa wrote, wish this kind of lesson could be longer. Yes, I like to explain. I like to explain and answer questions as best as I can. But time is running quickly. If you missed it, there is a bunch. You can find a bunch of PDFs from the link below the video. If you're watching on YouTube, above the video on Facebook, I'll remind you again very briefly, but let's look at a quiz. Where did the country mouse live? I'm going to go through the answers quickly because I'm out of time, but do your best. The country mouse lived in a large house, in a peaceful field, in a busy market, or in a narrow wall. Key here is live, right? The country mouse lived in a peaceful field. B is the answer. All right, the next one. Why did the town mouse invite the country mouse to the city? A, he wanted to show him a better life. B, he needed help finding food. C, he was afraid to live alone. Or D, he wanted to leave the city. The answer here is A. So the town mouse wanted to show the country mouse a better life. He said the food was plain. Okay, let's go to the next one. What did the two mice find on the table in the large house? A, only grains and roots. B, a trap and some crumbs, small pieces of food. C, a magnificent feast. Or D, a bowl of water. The answer here is C, a magnificent feast. Okay, I think we have one or two left. Why did the mice hide in the wall? Why? Okay, they were playing a game. B, they heard danger approaching. Approaching means to come up. C, they wanted to sleep. Or D, they were looking for more food. The answer here is B. They heard danger approaching. Human voices, dogs barking, footsteps, and so on. I think this is the last one. Why did the country mouse decide he preferred his old life? He disliked rich food. he missed his cousin, he wanted more adventure, or he valued peace more than fearful luxury? The answer here is D. He wanted a peaceful life. I understand that. All right, I have to finish there for today. Phew, we made it through, just barely. So we'll end there for today. Thank you very much for joining me this week, as always. Next week, I'll be back. Next week, we're going to talk about making plans. We're going to talk about reacting to plans, asking when the plans are going to be, and confirming those plans. So all those little steps in between, making a suggestion, like how do you react naturally, all of those small points when you're making plans. We're going to talk about that next week. So please join me at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's New York City time. If you don't know your local time, please Google it or set a notification on Facebook or on YouTube to get a pop-up when we start, okay? Also, in case you forgot and you missed my various reminders, the team has free PDFs for you below the video. YouTube, check here. Up here, if you're watching on Facebook. You can get these for free at EnglishClass101.com. You just need your name and an email address in order to download all of them for free. So please go crazy, go download all of those, and I hope that it helps you with your vocabulary. All right, so thank you so much for joining this week's live lesson as always. Thanks for your great questions, for your great comments as well. Have a great day, have a great week, have a great weekend, and I will see you again next time. Bye.